Hey everyone, wish you a very happy new year. Welcome into the season 3, that is year 3 of your favorite and India's top communication skills podcast, Communicate 101 Speaking Writing Tips. I couldn't agree more with Nicky Gumbel when he said, a lot of problems in the world would be solved if we talked to each other instead of about each other. Let's hope that this new year, brings in seamless communication in countries, people, and most importantly, within us. On that note, once again, Happy New Year! Maybe you're looking to impress your boss, make a good impression on your partner, or trying to nail an upcoming interview. Or maybe you're just like the whole lot of us, looking to level up your communication skills. In any case, congratulations! Wanting to learn good communication skills is a fantastic step forward. Research shows an exciting finding, and that is that communication skills are now the most valued and sought after transferable skills on any CV. Pretty good motivation to learn these, right? And believe you me, I'm very happy about this research because I'm a communication skills coach, right? And suddenly, I feel more wanted than ever. Today, we are talking about something that we all want. How to sound and feel smarter, and that too instantly. Let me share a little secret. Sounding intelligent doesn't require genius level smartness. What you need is confidence, conviction, and the knack of picking up on what others are saying. And the ability to find the right words at the right moment. When you meet someone, you want to leave an awesome impression on that person, isn't it? You want them to know you as sharp, smart, and intelligent. While there's no magic potion for that, and trust me, I'd happily sell you that for $1 million if that existed. What I can do, however, is that I can share some very smart strategies to help you come across as smart, and that too instantly. In fact, I do have a magic pill which I'm going to reveal in this episode. I have not just one but 3 strategies to share with you, and each one is simple but extremely powerful. These will help you come across as more insightful, articulate, and smart. Since each of these strategies deserves time to sink in and there's a whole lot of meat in it, sorry for the vegans, I'm not talking about real meat, I've made this a 3-part series. So go grab your coffee, settle in, and let's get started. Each episode will be packed with logic, easy to relate examples, and juicy tips that'll have you sounding like a genius in no time. I keep sharing tips and tricks and hacks to better your speaking and writing skills so that you become a master communicator. Where? On my Instagram handle. If you're not following already, click the follow button on my Insta handle, which is Communicate 101. Let's roll today's episode. Coming from a family of scientists and being a scientist myself, I've always backed my strategies with science. And this one is no different. Let me share where this strategy is coming from. So, an average person has 12 to 18,000 thoughts every day. I mean, there's a tsunami of thoughts. So when you meet someone, there's a huge chunk of these thoughts that come into your head. Imagine 12 to 18,000 thoughts in a day. And suddenly when you meet someone, a lot of these thoughts come into your head all at once. And when you want to talk to that person, you attempt to communicate these thoughts by first choosing which ones will best convey your key message to make you look good. So there's an automatic process of selection. But the human brains take time to select these messages. And then time to select the right words for these messages. And then we speak them out, if we feel confident enough. Any rush and you get the wrong words, or you stammer, you forget, or you end up saying something you didn't want to say. If our sentences are too long and winded, it seems like we're beating about the bush, or we're confused, or we're unintelligent. And we don't want that, right? So, what's the way out? The answer comes hidden in another scientific fact. Our short term memories can hold only very few pieces of information, and that too for only as much as 30 seconds. And therefore, when you want to say something, don't shoot it right away. You might not pick the right drops of words from that tsunami. So, what you need to do is you need to breathe, you need to pause, and then gather your thoughts and then speak. So, the first strategy, how you want to come across as smart in front of anyone, is pause. When you pause, like I did just now, it helps the listener understand that whatever you just said is about to be linked to what is coming next. You know, between the two sides of the pause, whatever you said first and whatever you're going to say next, there's a connection. So the listener tries to understand the link. Your individual points become easier to follow and easier to retain. And therefore, pausing is extremely important to keep your audience, your listener with you, engaged with you, informed, and enjoying the experience. Many of us will feel that, if we pause, we'll not look smart. Others will think, isko pata hi nahi hai, isko aata nahi hai, meaning he doesn't know. On the contrary, pausing while speaking can help you sound more intelligent and smart. Hold that thought while I pause and return to you with some evidence to prove what I'm saying works. Smart and sharp minds like Tim Cook and Jeff Bezos embrace what is called the rule of awkward silence. There's no specific person credited with inventing the rule of awkward silence, but it's a tool of emotional intelligence that has been used by several notable people. Let me tell you what this rule is. It's actually quite simple, so hear me out. So the rule of awkward silence says that whenever you're faced with a challenging situation, instead of answering, pause. Think deeply about how you want to answer. This is not a short pause. It actually involves taking several seconds, 10, 20 or longer. And then you think things through before responding. The silence may be awkward, but that's the rule of awkward silence. I can imagine if you're the one who's asking the question and you're waiting for the other person to answer using the rule of awkward silence, and you're not used to this type of communication style, it's almost like you're waiting for an earthquake to dissolve the sugar in your tea, right? It can seem very, very, very awkward. But if smart and successful people like Tim Cook and Jeff Bezos use this rule, and people still believe they're super smart, right? You and I should use it too. Let me share some examples. Tim Cook, was known to always found eating an energy bar. Whenever any media person or anyone important asked him a question, Cook was known for long, uncomfortable pauses. The only sound you would hear was his tearing the wrapper of his energy bar. I mean, really? Even then, he was one of the sharpest, smartest, and most sought-after men in Apple. At Amazon, Jeff Bezos is notorious for using the rule of awkward silence. Watch his interviews. But he has a very unique approach. He often uses this particular rule, the rule of awkward silence, in his office. If sources are to be believed, whenever there's a meeting at Amazon office, Bezos is silent when at the beginning of meetings. And this silence sometimes goes on for as long as 30 minutes while he reads the printed memos in silence. Why does he do so? According to Bezos, he believes that this will also give him time for the meeting participants to revisit the memo, to think, and even to scribble some initial thoughts and ideas while he's pausing. This one I won't suggest you should not try it unless you reach a powerful authoritative position like this Amazon man, because if you're a manager, a pause of 30 minutes may land you between jobs. But what I'm trying to say is pauses do make you sound intelligent, do make you look intelligent and smart instantly. Let's move over to something which is more relatable, which you actually can try and get an answer to looking intelligent and smart with pauses. So Steve Jobs, the Apple guy, the master presenter, he once took almost 20 seconds to respond to a personal attack, only to deliver the perfect response. You can read about it on the internet. This was in 1997 when Steve Jobs had just returned to Apple after being ousted from Apple over 10 years ago. He was answering questions for developers at a conference, and one audience member took a shot at him. I'm not going to narrate the incident. I'm not going to narrate the insult, but Jobs first took a 10 seconds pause, sat in silence, thought. And then he said, and then again, he took an 8 seconds pause and then answered. The pause was so valuable because it allowed Jobs to get his emotions under control and think things through before he said or did anything that he'd later regret. Because what happens is, when you're anxious, just like Jobs must be because the other person had insulted him, he must be breathing faster. So when you breathe faster, you also tend to speak faster. And chances are that your response may be fumbled, may not be the best response that you want to give. So pausing helps. So what did Jobs do? He paused twice, long pauses, for one single answer. Elon Musk, the guy with a net worth of almost $300 billion. He has to be smart, right? He is so infamous for using extremely long pauses during interviews, during speeches, be it any podium. Elon Musk will use his pauses. There was an interview at Air Force Space Pitch Day where he was speaking with US Air Force Lieutenant General John Thompson. And there, on the stage, he paused for almost 17 seconds. Everyone was watching him anxiously. All eyes were glued to him. And that man had the courage to give such a long pause. And even those who knew nothing about what he was talking about said, wow, they all found him smart. So pausing, even for as little as 300 milliseconds, can change how your audience perceives you, and in a surprisingly positive way. I'll share a link to this interview in the bio so you can have a look at it yourself later. But notice the 17-second pause at the 20-minute mark. Most people would feel uncomfortable using lengthy pauses like Musk, but it seems pauses work. John F. K., Ronald Reagan, they all use pauses with a dramatic effect. Tell me, if you don't instantly find them smart or intelligent? When you speak, you want to do 3 things. The first one, you want people to understand you. The second one, you want them to connect with you. And the third one, you want to influence them. Imagine you're an American and now you're talking to somebody from Southeast Asia who also speaks English, by the way. Would you talk the same way as you would talk to a Britisher or an American or a Canadian? No, isn't it? To make them understand you, you use simple language, right? And you speak slowly, often pausing between words and sentences. So what we do is we tend to slow down when we speak to non-native speakers, almost instinctively. If they understand you, if you come across as relatable, they find you smart. So, the pauses actually make you look smart. Take a moment of pause right before saying something important, because that builds anticipation. It draws your audience in and makes them eager to catch every word that you say. In one workshop, someone asked me, "So when should you pause?" Of course, great question. So there are actually researchers have said that there are 5 crucial times when you should pause. I'll share the pointers and maybe we can go into the detail on how to pause in each situation in yet another episode. But for now, these 5 important circumstances when you should pause will be good enough for you to start practicing pauses. So number 1, pause after key messages. Number 2, pause after you pose an important question. Think about it. The third time, you pause when you receive a compelling question and you need a deeper thought. When you're narrating a story or you're following a story, then also pause. But most importantly, always pause when someone hits you with an objection or an insult. Do not respond immediately. Jatin from Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh wrote to me on my Insta handle Communicate101. I'm a voracious reader with a great vocabulary. I have no problem with written communication or giving a speech to an audience. But when it comes to casual conversation, I fall flat and I sound like I have brain damage, as if my mouth and brain are out of sync. I turn into a flaming idiot during a conversation. I blank out and even forget the names of things I'm trying to talk about. Sarika, all this makes people bored with my conversation and I look anything but smart. Please give me a solution. Thank you, Jatin, for trusting me to help you. Your plight seems to be rooted in what is called social awkwardness. Something like social anxiety. You're just awkward in social situations. Believe you me, I was so socially awkward. I would hate to be around people, and yes, I know exactly how you feel. So, what I did, I'm going to share with you, and I hope that works with you as well. So, first things first, you have to relax. Stop taking the pressure to come up with something amazing every time you speak. And don't be in a rush to speak. Speak with pauses. It'll ease you up when you breathe deep. It'll calm your nerves and it'll relax you automatically. I used to be super awkward, uncomfortable in social situations, but going out and forcing myself to talk to people, those who have a good vibe about them, it has dulled that and it has sharpened my social quotient. So be around yesayers, people who champion you, and relax. Time for a dessert tip at the end of the episode. This one is very precious. Remember to pause after you've said something important because it emphasizes its importance. It gives listeners a moment to reflect on its importance. A perfect example of this pausing is in Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech. I'll share the link in the bio. If he can sound smart and intelligent, the man himself, with all those pauses, so can you. If you like these strategies, don't forget to follow me on my Insta handle Communicate101 because I share tons of tips and hacks on it every day. If you have a question, message me on Insta or mail me at info@sarikasingh.in. I can't wait to share the next strategy on how to sound smart instantly in the next episode. So if you haven't already done it, hit the subscribe icon on whichever platform you're hearing my podcast so that you never miss an episode. Tag me in your stories on Insta wherever you find yourself benefiting from my podcast or any tips. I'd love that. This is me, Sarika Singh, winding up today's episode with the words of Mark Twain. The right word may be effective, but no word was ever as effective as the rightly timed pause. Thank you for listening to this episode of Communicate 101 Speaking Writing Tips with Sarika Singh. If you want to be notified of upcoming episodes, be sure to hit the subscribe button and follow the podcast. I'll be back to share more stories, more life experiences, and more communication tips every Friday. If you want to reach me or connect with me, just put your comments in the comment box below or mail me at info@sarikasingh.in. I know you're going to rate and review this podcast, so a big thank you in advance. Stay tuned and think about what we talked today.